So, hello everyone. Welcome to our webinar. My name is Rom, and I will be your chief storyteller for today. We're going to be doing a 45 minutes session today with about 15 minutes of Q&A in the end. If needed, you're more than welcome to let us know. We are going to be recording the session today. So before I start, let me quickly just say thank you for your time. Thank you for joining us today. We're very excited to be sharing some of the insights that we have for AI in the workplace, including productivity gains and that organizations are making. And we would like to share with you a framework about how to think about AI implementations. So before I get into the presentation today, in preparation to this, I actually had the opportunity to speak with some of you and quickly realize that we have three different groups, three different profiles of organizations out there. Those that are thinking about AI, just thinking about it, those that are actively using AI and need help managing or with governance, and those that have made a strategic decision about using AI. So, in that light, we decided to create three different presentations. Today's presentation is going to be AI in the workplace, adoption, productivity, why, how people are using, and we're going to introduce a strategic framework for AI implementations. That's going to be done by Kim at the end. He's going to give us some details, and we're going to also talk about where those productivity gains are being identified, and we're going to do a quick demo with Fiona. The second presentation is a deeper dive on that strategic framework that I've mentioned. We're hoping that we're going to be able to do that in about 4 to 6 weeks. And a third presentation, which is basically AI in action with Copilot. Copilot in the various Microsoft applications, where we're going to be showing how to do better prompting and how to use to the maximum. Now, quickly introducing the team today, we have myself, Rom, we have Fiona, and we have Kim. Fiona is going to be doing the talking about the benefits and doing and showcasing Copilot in this case in action for us. And like I said before, Kim is going to dive into the specifics of the framework. Now, there's no doubt that we are living on the age of AI, and a recent research by Microsoft showed that 65% of the organizations that they have researched adopt any type of Gen AI technology in the last 10 months, and this number has doubled since their last research. Now we're going to be mentioning three different research throughout this this presentation, and we're gonna be showing you some stats and numbers. Now, to illustrate why it's important to understand your current AI risks, consider the following scenario: a schoolboy that has been given a Copilot by their school, created a prompt saying, "Can you help me put together a table with the teacher's salary?" It might seem an innocent request, but it quickly could become a major privacy risk and compliance violation. So that's why step number one of this AI journey is awareness. Another scenario, a second example that I would like to highlight, a much more serious one, is the importance of protecting your organization. Um, an employee from a construction company asks Copilot for a list of all female employees under 30, complete with contact details. He attempts to share it, widely with his workmates. Now, this raises immediate red flags with privacy and discrimination and so on. So we want to ensure that before rolling out any such tools like Copilot or any other one, your organization has the right policies and controls to prevent misuse of any information. Now, similarly, there was a situation, a government employee who was an enthusiast of the Gen AI technology. However, his area had restrictions around the use of such tools, so he decided to circumvent this and started emailing him sensitive documents to himself, so he could use ChatGPT at home, then emailing back to his workmate. Now, workmail. Now, this underscores a risk around unsecured data flows and the lack of awareness of organizational guidelines. So we want to make sure, and we want to make sure that it's a reminder that protecting your data, whether it is on site, um, uh, 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 at home, or in the cloud, is top priority. Now, on a recent study, 78% of the people that responded to that said that they are already using AI at work and that they are bringing their own AI tools. Um, Now, that poses the question, how do you think that unregulated AI could affect your organization's security and compliance posture? Um, that same research said that 46% of the same group started to use AI technologies in the last 6 months. Now, that brings us to this. No matter where you are on your AI decision-making journey, we believe that there are three essential steps to protect your business and prepare for AI. Step number one is understanding your current risks. Step number two is ensuring that your organization is protected. And step number three is ensuring that your data remains protected. Now, this is the framework that we are proposing, the one that Cam is going to dive deeper into it later on today's presentation, and then deeper again into our following presentation. No, few more stats for us in another that same Microsoft research. 58% of the organizations expressed concern of the lack of visibility into unsanctioned AI use. Now, just by that, this could lead to data breaches and compliance failures before you even know that you have a problem. Now, it's not all doom and gloom, right? There was a different research. And by the way, we have links to those research at the end, so more than happy to take them and have a look. So it's not all doom and gloom. There was a research by Harvard Business Review that actually said that 71% of the organizations that they have researched, they know the risks that AI poses, but they do believe that the benefits of such technology outweigh the risks. And this is what Fiona is going to be talking about today. She's going to be giving us an overview of where AI is currently being used, and she's going to give us a quick demonstration of how people are using Gen AI by using Copilot as our example. Fiona.
Hi, everyone, and thank you for making the time. I'm Fiona Golinelli, and I work very closely with Computer One. I'm one of the Microsoft ambassadors at Crayon, who partner with Computer One. Now, interestingly, what I wanted to share, and I don't want to bore you with too many more stats, but it is an interesting report that is the latest report that Microsoft have provided us. And it shows from ANZ businesses A survey was done of 471 businesses, and all of them who have used AI in their business have saved time. To the next slide, please. And many of them, 51%, have used, who are using Microsoft 365 Copilot, are saving 1 hour a day. And this is in the first month. And 21% are saving 2 hours a day. So let me just put a quick framework around this. The use of the word Copilot, there are many different Copilots. I think they're actually coming close to 100. Microsoft aren't great at branding their names. So please, the one I'm showing you today and the one we're talking about is the business version. The correct terminology for that is Microsoft 365 Copilot. This will access your cloud data, so your SharePoint files, your OneDrive files, as well as if you wanted to do market research, for example, it will allow you securely to access web data. But this is an important feature because you have many different Copilots. So make sure we just are on the same page from a demo perspective, because demoing it will show you different features that you haven't seen in any of the free versions, for example. So how is AI changing what we have spending time on? Brilliantly, if anyone has to do content preparation, and I know we have many C's in the business, board minutes, oh my God, using Teams, which I will show you, no longer will you need to take board minutes manually. It will save you so much time. Don't be concerned, we can always have the detail, show you that in a second. But content creation, visuals, if you have someone in marketing or an outsourced marketing person that you hire part-time, analyzing documents on Excel is fantastic. Now, if you're not an advanced user on Excel, it will give you insights and pivot tables and graphs instantaneously. So it's a very much, Microsoft 365 Copilot is very much a time-saving task. And this is what I will show you live. Next slide. But, you know, it's not, it is Copilot. It's not autopilot. So think of Copilot as your very smart, very speedy intern. It will ensure that it respects the security permissions, and more on that later. So it's not going to override that. But humans are meant to do all the really smart things in the organization, working on your business, strategizing, selling, going and do, you know, marketing to grow the business. So that is how your time that you have saved can be redeployed. Next slide, please. Excellent. So let's launch. I'm going to take over the screen. This is a live demo. I just would like to share and be very transparent with you. The automated demos that were provided by Microsoft to me aren't real and raw, because this is real life scenarios. I'm going to take you through Teams, Word, PowerPoint, and what's called the business chat model, because I want to show you how you can summarize documents and compare files. More on that in a moment. So let me just launch straight in. Let's talk about Teams. Now, many people ask me, can I use Copilot for a remote meeting in Teams? Because that's typically what we use Teams for. The answer is, of course, yes. But you can also use Copilot in face-to-face meetings. If you need the instructions, we can follow that up later. But you can use it on your Teams app on your mobile phone, which is less intrusive than launching your laptop, for example, in a face-to-face meeting. And how, I want to show you how the meeting notes appear. I did a very short meeting, and for demo purposes, it will provide you with a full meeting recap. Now, if you're going to ask, well, Fiona, how does it differentiate different people in the room? The important thing when you're having a face-to-face meeting is just to obviously ensure, call it out that you're going to be using M365 Copilot, and for people to use their names. So, for example, I've said I'm doing a budget review here, face-to-face meeting with some of my colleagues. One of them, Steve James, the other person is Cassandra and Jack. Steve, can you give me an overview of your business growth plans. It has picked up in the follow-up tasks that Steve has committed to ensuring the business grows by at least 10%. Really powerful in a short, sharp, or lengthy meeting face-to-face. It is an incredibly powerful tool. It appears as a meeting with Fiona Golinelli. It won't pick it up as how you put it in your calendar, for example. So if you have many face-to-face meetings in the day, just check the date and time, and you can then refer back to your recap notes. Now, let's have a look. If I've got a webinar here, it's a webinar that I wasn't able to attend. It was an internal webinar with our superannuation company, and it was women and super. However, Copilot was working. The brilliant thing here is I could get a recap of this as well as any action items, and I'll show you that in a second. But let me just point out before I launch into some of the prompting. This month, as in March this year, Copilot is now able to analyze and answer questions about content shared. If the meeting is recorded, not only transcribed, if it's recorded, Copilot will allow you to interrogate what the on-screen slides were. So, for example, what was the sales target number on the last slide, Copilot? And it will be able to pick that up. So it's one of the latest improvements to M365 Copilot. Microsoft are investing $80 billion just this year into AI. So the changes are quick, it's here and now, and you really need to engage with it to keep up with your competitors, is my recommendation in terms of how many customers I'm dealing with in ANZ right now. So let me just show you this. Copilot, think of, like I said, it's a fast, speedy intern. It has a number of prompting tools. The word prompting is your communication or instructions to Copilot. So it will help you with some regularly used prompts. But that doesn't mean to say you're limited to that. You can ask it anything to interrogate and ask it, which I will do in a second. But for example, you might have attended, I know this is a webinar, but as a CEO, as a busy employee, as a busy team member, you might have attended a meeting or got into a meeting late. Provided Copilot is working, you can recap the meeting. And within seconds, Copilot will give you a recap of that. It might only be 5 minutes or 10 minutes in, but you can catch up. If you weren't able to attend the meeting, like in this example with the webinar, it will give me a wonderful summary of this. You don't only necessarily need to record it, you can just transcribe it. But like I said, if you want to interrogate the slides that were presented, you need to record it. So this is a fabulous example of how quickly I can actually get a summary. Now, you'll notice these little numbers. That will drive me to exactly the point in the meeting for more detail. A transcription, if you're only transcribing, will give you all. So if you're doing board meetings and you want to ensure that you record every single word that was said, you can definitely file away your full transcription. For compliance purposes, if you needed to have that, just save that in OneNote or SharePoint. However, for the board members who needed summary and action items, that is definitely possible right here. So it serves both purposes. If there are any action items, once again, you just ask Copilot. But that is the phenomenal power and speed with which Copilot will get you data and information on Teams. I'd love to ask questions, but given that a webinar, let's leave the questions to the end, and we can come back for that because I'm really conscious of everyone's time. Let me move into Word. Microsoft Word, I'm just going to bring up a blank Word document, which I have here. Come over. Sorry, I'm using multiple screens. There we go. Ignore all of that. But you'll notice Copilot here. That's better. You'll notice Copilot here straight away as I open my Word document. So Copilot, Microsoft 365 Copilot will be in all of your Microsoft applications, whether you might even use OneNote as an example. Obviously in Outlook, all of the applications you will have Copilot there. You can have it over here, which shows you a chat feature, which you can interrogate that Word document if that was populated. For demonstration purposes, though, I do want to show you this. I'm just going to bring up the prompt to save me typing it. I'm going to ask Copilot to write me a job description. That's normally a painful process for all of us. And all of us have to hire at some stage in our businesses. So write a job ad for a BDM within the business that I represent today. I need to have certain required skills, and let me go. It will pull data from files that I've got access to, only those that I have access to. It won't overwrite the permissions that HR, for example, will have over the data that I have availability to. And it will pull data, because obviously I have lots of Y crayon presentations and information in my OneDrive and SharePoint. It will pull that in. So within, I didn't even count, a number of seconds, it will give me an overview of crayon, a position description, requirements, why joining it, and how to apply. Then I just have to put my email and a link potentially to Seek, for example, be on Seek. Anyway, you'd put a link, for example, if you had another link to share. And that would save you an enormous amount of time. Now, you might want to rewrite that. You might want to say, let's adjust this part. Now, that is all possible. So you could easily say, let's keep that. You could easily say, see how my little Copilot icon pops up there on the left? I might want to rewrite that because I'm not happy with it. You've got an auto rewrite prompt. You might just write a prompt and say, please make this more casual and more detailed, because I like, not so formal wording, that is. There you go. Copilot will go away and regenerate that. If you're doing any requests, RFPs, proposals, anything that you need an executive summary for. I used to hate doing executive summaries. It's my one thing I hated it as in the businesses that I ran if I had to do that. I do obviously if it was a proposal, for example, I'd do the full Word document, respond to it with the use of Copilot, if I had it back then, and then let Copilot do the executive summary for you. And it'll pull all the data from what you've entered in that Word document and voila, check it. You need the human to check it all the time because Copilot is getting better and better, but don't take it as being 100%. And there you go. Keep it or, rerun it. That's your little rerun feature. So that is the beauty of and speed with which content preparation can be done in Word. You have very similar features in Outlook. If you needed to respond to difficult emails, for example, you have customer complaints, you have customer service people in the business, and you want it to be a very nice professional response in difficult situation, Copilot's your golden bullet, silver bullet. You're literally your tool to help all of that. If you have people and English is their second language, oh my God, this is just an awesome tool. There are so many, I can't cover everything today. There are so many situations where M365 Copilot will help the business from a time saving and a productivity perspective. Let me close that, and I'm going to actually import something into PowerPoint. I have got a marketing plan already done in Word, which I'm going to import for you now. I'm showing you I'm apologizing, it's a bit boring, but a lot of corporate PowerPoint templates can be quite boring. And creating a PowerPoint presentation can be very time consuming. Images, tables, etc. So I want to show you the speed with which Copilot will help creating a presentation. If you're going to look for, gosh, you might even be doing a presentation to source more revenue for more investors, and you need to do, a quick company overview and import that into a presentation, this will do it instantly. Now, I have it open here, but let me just, I have it open here, but see how I've already launched Copilot for you. And it gives me a number, we're calling them prompts, that's the correct terminology. And it says create a presentation from a file. Now, see that little / key? The / key will access whatever documents you have in SharePoint or OneDrive. And in this case, because I'm using OneDrive for my demo purposes, I'm going to import my marketing plan. So create a presentation from, and it'll link into that document. You can import a number of documents, up to 5, I believe, and let's go send. And it will do this within, give or take 10 seconds. Oh, you naughty. Live demonstrations. Seriously, give me 1 minute. Look, you have to laugh sometimes. My apologies, and I have had problems with the internet. Let me stop sharing no, I'm actually determined to show you this. And I'm just going to relaunch. I'm going to actually just bring a blank presentation up. It may have to do because I've been doing so many demonstrations. Let me just bring Copilot up again and import that file. Create a presentation from a file, / I'm going to just bring that up again, files, that marketing plan. Let's do it here. If you notice I speak to Copilot, my apology, because I'm using it constantly. There we go. Thank you. And it's generating the slides. It'll tell you where it's up to. 94, there we go. Yep. In a webinar, it's a bit like watching paint dry. I'm sorry, guys. And there you go. You could do that in the corporate presentation. I must have a little hiccup. It'll give me the agenda. It'll provide you with visuals. If you don't like the visuals, that's fine. There is a visual creator within Copilot. There are lots and lots of opportunities. If you needed to incorporate Excel into that, you would then just copy and paste your Excel files into there, as in your images, for your presentation purposes. But the speed with which that has created the full presentation from that marketing plan, it's even given me a conclusion, thank you. And it's provided me with speaker notes, all from that Word document. So we've covered Teams, Word, PowerPoint. I want to show you end on one lovely, lovely thing. And this is for very busy people like all of us. And you can use what's called business chat through the Copilot app, or you can access it through Teams. And so you've got this big Copilot icon at the beginning here. And what's called this business chat is your working hub. So if you're using chat in Word or Outlook, that will only access the features within Word and Outlook. But this is like a bit like your dashboard. So if I wanted to summarize or provide me with the most important emails I had to respond to today, because I've been out of the office all morning, you can use this window to actually access your other applications. But for the purposes of what I wanted to really end on, I've just pinned OneDrive here to my left, and I've got some demo files. I have an annual report. I haven't got time to read the annual report. It's a lengthy annual report. I'm not sharing anything confidential because that's straight from a publicly listed company, so on the website. I'm going to ask Copilot to summarize it. And it's working on my request. It's combing through it. You do have to be a little bit patient with time, but there you go. I didn't count how many seconds that was. And it's given me a full summary. I can ask Copilot a question to understand more detail within that document. And it's also pointed me, these little numbers are pointing to reference sites within that PDF, which you can summarize a Word document and PowerPoint. it will point you to those points. One last thing, I'm interviewing people. I've got a short list of candidates. I want to compare two CVs. There's Jack Jones here and CV, and I've got Diana Cass's CV. Let's ask Copilot to, let's ask Copilot to compare these files. Because as a business owner, I'm recruiting all the time. I want to actually just have an understanding of more or less on a table the pros and cons of each candidate. And within seconds, Copilot has done that. I'll leave you on that thought. There is so much more to share. It's an exciting space. I'm going to hand it over to Cam now. Thanks again for your time.
Alrighty, thanks very much, Fiona. Rom, can we switch back to the presentation? There's a lot of really interesting technology stuff there, and we're hoping to bring Fiona back for another full session around the use of Copilot. As you can appreciate from the energy that Fiona brought to today, she's very motivated around the Copilot space. I'm going to change gears a little bit today. I'm just going to take control of this presentation. And I'm going to start to look at the strategic value of implementing and investing in AI. Most of you on the call will be thinking about AI and how to get started. Some of you may have already made the leap. So I wanted just to take 5 minutes in the initial slide to cover what an investment strategy might look like for investing into AI. When thinking about AI, I guess the best thing is to begin brainstorming the ideas with your cross-functional teams and generate some AI project ideas. AI has come onto the scene with a bit of a hiss and a roar, and often people are seeing it as a solution to a problem they don't know they have yet. And so there's been a lot of false starts and a lot of data around failed AI projects that have kicked off without proper thought and proper planning in terms of what the expectations are around getting value out of AI. So key to this is, I guess, ideating those AI projects, get into some brainstorming sessions with your teams, looking at those business objectives and challenges, so identifying the business goals, the things you want to achieve out of AI projects. They could be things like revenue growth, cost reduction, process improvement, operational efficiency, or they could move into that customer experience space. Once you've got through that, look at your use cases, and one really good tool that Microsoft are actually providing is the Microsoft Copilot Scenario Library. We've got a link to that in the back of this presentation. But actually thinking about the use cases that you want to apply AI to, and again looking at how you want to actually drive that innovation. Look at pain points across your organization. So think about process inefficiencies. Where are the challenges in your organization, and could AI potentially resolve those situations? I think the important thing too is to also evaluate the impact or assess the potential impact of AI on aspects and areas of your business. AI may not necessarily be the appropriate tool for some of the challenges that you're facing, so you need to account for that. But again, looking at cost savings, revenue growth, and competitive advantage. And look at the adoption of AI in your long-term strategy. But as I said before, remember, don't get caught up in the hype. There's a lot of hype at the moment around AI. AI is a significant paradigm shift. It's of my 30 plus years in the IT industry, it's probably one of the most significant paradigm shifts I've seen to date, and it's happening very, very quickly. So we can fall into that hype of just looking at what AI can do without actually thinking about the value to the business. So then once we look at, or we've identified those use cases, those AI use cases, look at the strategic value of those use cases. I'll talk a little bit more in the next slide about some examples of where you could start to think about targeting those strategic AI uses. Reduce the oversharing of data. Now, what I mean by oversharing of data, it's the inappropriate disclosure of sensitive or personal information, either naively or maliciously. So that's basically it's data leakage. And this can lead to privacy breaches and significant security issues in the organization. An example could be an employee that has posted their resignation and then are starting to data mine a whole lot of information to take with them when they walk out the door. So being very cognizant of the information that you have and that data exfiltration. Making sure too that you secure data for AI. So ensuring the organizational data is known, you have it secured, and it's governed. That's critical, and we'll continue to touch on that as we work through the presentation. Prioritizing your AI projects. So potentially looking at an AI maturity assessment in your organization. So evaluating your own organization's AI maturity as it currently stands, and understand the organization's readiness for different types of AI projects. So this is really starting to look at the capability that you have within the organization, the availability of your data, the quality and security of that data, and the technical infrastructure that you're going to need to stand this up. A good way of testing those projects is to look at a risk-reward analysis. So understanding potential return on investment for each AI project. You want to consider things like the complexity, required resources, and expected benefits you're going to get from those projects. And then your quick wins and your big bets. So starting to look at those quick wins, so low effort, high impact, and the big bets, the high effort, high impact, and prioritize those. So prioritize those quick wins so that you can get some runs on the board and demonstrate early success. I've got just a simple diagram there. It wouldn't be too foreign to many of you, but really sort of looks at the initiatives and how you would assess those initiatives based on complexity versus value. So obviously, as the value increases, the high value, low complexity opportunities are the quick wins, the areas that you want to start looking at. Obviously, the high value, high complexity, those are the projects initially you'd probably want to avoid. So, as they say, eating an elephant one bite at a time, those quick wins are the best ways to actually get runs on the board. The strategic investments are really those high value, high complexity projects, or the low value, low complexity projects. Those are the ones that you may want to also consider. Consider developing an AI strategy for your organization. The paradigm shift that we're seeing in AI today really deserves to have a dedicated AI strategy. And we are seeing a lot of movement, particularly in Australia, around legislation and regulation starting to develop now around the requirements on organizations for ensuring responsible AI is implemented within the organization. And then I come back to combating that eagerness with pragmatism. As I said before, AI is a paradigm shift. It's often seen as a solution to a problem that people are searching for. AI is not going to go away. It's here to stay and is maturing very, very quickly. And that maturity cycle is exponential. And you'll see news articles almost daily around the development of AI opportunities available to us. The last point there is making sure that you get your data right, and we'll touch on this as we get further into the presentation. A couple of pointers around strategic value of AI adoption. So we've got a couple of points here. If you're thinking about how I could leverage AI within the business, AI analyzes huge amounts of data quickly and accurately, as Fiona sort of demonstrated in her presentations. So that can be used to provide insights and help make informed decisions within the organization. Cost reduction, looking to reduce operational costs and make savings in repetitive processes and labor, material and time. So look at automating some of those repetitive tasks and free up some of that human capital for higher value work. An example of this could be, Fiona showed you how to actually generate a position description. One thing you could look at doing is potentially taking that position description and asking Copilot to develop a personal development plan against your position descriptions. I've done that personally with mine, and it's come back with some interesting suggestions around potential training that I may want to look at. Risk management, again, is key, and AI has been extensively implemented across a number of areas of cybersecurity and fraud detection to look at threat analysis and threat hunting. The AI-driven anomaly detection in some IT networks is being used to help prevent fraud and data breaches. Important to say too that a lot more cyber attacks are starting to leverage AI in that space as well. So leveraging AI to combat that is a sensible move forward. Operational efficiency, as I said before, looking at how you can actually get more efficiency out of your organization. The legal fraternity is using AI across using to identify document insights, to discuss documents with seasoned AI colleagues. So there's tools out there where you can actually discuss legal documents with an AI counterpart. Looking at document discrepancies, kind of like what Fiona just demonstrated with the CVs, and using AI as a legal research assistant as well. So AI is actually embedding in a lot of organizations now. Customer experience. I was on a session yesterday with Microsoft where they demonstrated an AI-based avatar who reacts in real time to inputs. So unlike the old avatars that were sort of run through machine learning, these avatars are starting to get more and more lifelike. So being able to use AI to enhance that customer experience for your customers is something that you potentially may want to consider. And scalability. So looking to use AI to scale solutions and handle larger amounts of data and information and transactions within your organization. So examples of this would be something like AI for workforce planning or talent management, so predicting workforce needs and skill gaps in the organization, enabling agile talent development. So an example of this could be an AI-driven recruitment platform that matches candidates with job openings based on real-time business needs within your organization. So you're actually taking a lot of that hard, heavy lifting out of the HR department and using AI to do a lot of that screening for you. Implementing AI-powered chatbots or virtual assistants, so bringing AI-driven HR chatbots into the organization to assist employees with queries, and using those, basing those queries on actual information that's available to those chatbots. And then lastly, the innovation and competitive advantage. So really looking to AI to help your organization to innovate. Ask AI, how or what suggestions it could make to help it innovate and provide some competitive edge for your organization. It's often an opportunity to use tools like AI to try and get ahead of your competitors. What makes effective AI implementation? So really, there shouldn't be anything new here to most of you. Making sure you define your clear goals and objectives. The goals need to be clearly defined. Make sure you have success metrics in place. Sanction the use of AI in the organization. So what I mean by this is make sure you've got unilateral guardrails for the use of AI. Develop the AI strategy, publish guidelines on the use of AI in the organization. As I said before, AI is a paradigm shift. It can't be ignored. The genie's out of the box, and the stats that Rom talked about earlier in the presentation indicates that BYO AI is real. People are bringing their own AI tools to work. So make sure that you're clear about how your organization is going to sanction the use of AI, even if it is before you implement AI solutions. You need to put guardrails out there for your teams. Comfort the nervous people. AI is not hell, for those of you that are familiar with 2001: A Space Odyssey. There's legitimate concerns around the level of control or influence that AI can pose. So make sure you educate and communicate your teams. AI is a tool, and it can improve productivity if used correctly. The data quality and accessibility. So this is where we start to touch on the nuts and bolts that AI requires, making sure you've got high quality data and your data is accessible, making sure you've got good data security and compliance. And we will talk about this in a lot more detail in an upcoming webinar. Don't assume your data is secure. Everyone has data graveyards in your organization, and Copilot will find them. So make sure that you do all the work that you can to identify the information that you have out there, because if you don't, Copilot will. Address the shadow AI, so preventing sensitive data from being passed to generative AI apps. Rom used an example of an employee in the government who had passed information to his personal drive and was using AI outside of the organization to assess corporate information. So you want to make sure that you get on top of that, and we will start addressing that in one of the upcoming future webinar around data security. Making sure that the use of AI is ethical and responsible. Look at your integration with existing systems. So Copilot needs to be able to look at information across multiple systems. Adopt a continuous learning and adoption program, so education for users. Fiona talked about prompt creation. There is an art and a science in actually creating those prompts, so it's useful to provide that training for your users. And collaboration and expertise, so create those cross-functional teams and get people working with AI within the business, across the business. Making sure that when you actually roll out AI, do it in small chunks. Use the Copilot scenario library that we've got a link to in the back of the presentation. And then as you look to roll out, make sure that you're rolling out at scale. You've got your sensitivity labels on your data, role-based data security and data loss prevention to prevent that data exfiltration leaving the organization. And then once you switch to operate, it's not a fire and forget. You need to continue to monitor and look for continuous improvement and fine-tuning across the environment. All right, I did talk several times about the Copilot scenario library. Again, we've got a link in the back of the presentation. The Copilot scenario library just allows you to create a set of custom use cases. So it'll ask for the industry that you're running, and then it will give you some options of looking at the types of business areas that you want to run use cases on. And then this is an example of a use case that it has generated as output. So they're fairly comprehensive, but it does give you an opportunity to think about whether the use cases are appropriate for your organization. I did touch on the data and the security and compliance. We talked about data oversharing, so users not sharing or oversharing sensitive data via their apps, combating data leaks, and looking at the non-compliant usage of AI. And so that's not necessarily looking at data leakage, but looking at how AI is used within the organization. So one of the things that we wanted to touch on, and as Rom said, we will have a follow-up presentation that will dive deeper into this mechanism for planning for AI. But we've looked at sort of three key areas when thinking about AI. Some of the key concerns that you may want to be addressing when you're looking at AI is AI tools can surface sensitive information to those that should or should not have access. Your sensitive data leakage, so getting that sensitive data leaked to the public, that's kind of front page newspaper type stuff. Unsanctioned AI tool usage, so that's where people are bringing their own AI tools or using tools that are not necessarily governed by the integrated security that you have within the organization. So as we think about that, we need to understand our current AI risks. And one of the biggest risks that you have in your organization right now is BYO AI. Bring your own AI. Not everyone is waiting. Team members are bringing their AI tools to work, and this is a risk that you need to get on top of. You need to get a clear understanding of your shadow AI within the organization, so where AI is being used, and understand the generative AI applications that are already in use. Some of these tools may lack that built-in security to protect the organization and the data for oversharing and non-compliant use. So the use of Copilot integrates into the Microsoft security model. So Copilot will only look at data that you have access to. And so that's important differentiator to understand with Copilot. And understand that footprint within the organization. Just an important note too that Copilot is not used to, so the data that you use in Copilot is not actually used to train the foundational models. So there is a data map that Copilot uses, and then it uses a large language model in the back end, but that LLM is not actually trained by the data that you're actually providing to Copilot. Moving on to the second area, so making sure your organization is protected. So protect your organization from cybersecurity risks. MFA, if you don't have multi-factor authentication turned on, get it turned on. The recent Microsoft study indicated that the use of MFA reduces the risk of compromise through AI by 99%. So if you haven't got MFA turned on and you're thinking about implementing AI or Copilot, get MFA turned on. Implement role-based access to your information and your data. So making sure that your data is actually partitioned through your security model, and adopt principles of zero trust. So what this means is access where needed to data and information. A lot of legacy access is pretty much everyone gets access to everything. That needs to be flipped on its head. So really starting to invest in thinking about how you secure your data and information. This includes applying least privilege access and always assume breach. So always adopt a mentality of assumed breach in the organization, and also make sure that all of your devices and endpoints are managed. And that leads nicely into the third point here, which is ensuring your data remains secure. So you need to ensure that once you've got your data categorized and you understand where it is, your data is protected, and the AI tools are able to use it, you need to know how that data is actually being used. So you need to get rid of those data graveyards that are out there, know where your data is, ensure sensitivity labels are set. So those are things like you would have seen probably in your privacy policy or your privacy statement. You'll have an indication of classification of information. It might be public, which is externally available, and then you might have general, which is internally available, confidential and restricted. Get those labels tagged on your information. That will help with ensuring that the confidential and restricted stuff either doesn't go out the door or it doesn't go to people within the organization. And more importantly, doesn't get picked up by AI prompting or querying. Get your data security controls in place. So just bearing in mind that Copilot acts on behalf of the user. So anything that Copilot is doing, they're doing it on behalf of the user. They inherit those user permissions. And enable data loss prevention. So we will be talking about data loss prevention in an upcoming presentation. I would seriously recommend you attend that. We will get into a lot more detail around policy-based controls that will govern and handle the restricted data that you have within the organization, and it'll give you some insight into the tools that you probably already have available to you as part of your current Microsoft 365 subscriptions, how they can be used to protect your organization. All right, I'm getting the green light from stage left. So just one final slide, just some useful resources there on the use of Copilot. So the first one there is that Copilot scenario library, and Rom touched on the Harvard Business Review report. That's certainly worth looking at.